Hello, hello, and welcome back to Baki Taki Season 4, Episode 9, Devouring Each Other. If you couldn't tell from the title, this is, I think, unironically, my favorite episode of the season. A big bounce back from last week's episode, which Lindsay described as very boring. But to help me discuss this episode, we've got a guest who hasn't been on for quite a while. It's Louie.
Very much a pleasure to be here, and I'm actually not surprised for you to say this is your favorite episode. I actually just enjoyed it. It made me want to watch more Baki.
It was great. It's conflict, and there's meaning behind the conflict, and it's also absurd. But before we jump into the episode, I have a question I like to ask all of my returning guests. So I'm casting the Baki cinematic universe. So we're bringing it to the big screen with real actors. Who would you cast to play Jack Hanma?
Oh, okay, good question.
Pickle will be played by Jason Momoa. We've decided.
That's actually good. I thought you were going to ask about Pickle, but Jack. I'm not a big movie guy, so I'm grasping.
Don't worry, they have a lot of special effects. Like, just pick someone who gets the vibe, and I'm sure they can make him look like Jack Hanma.
The only name that's coming to mind is Chuck Norris, but that's not it at all.
Chuck Norris, so what, 80 years old?
I got it. We're gonna bring back Mike Tyson. There's a whole fitting character dynamic there.
That'd be so great, especially because Baki already has a character called Iron Michael who looks exactly like Mike Tyson. So it'd be fun to have Mike Tyson come back to play Baki's brother.
Oh, that was Baki's brother?
Stepbrother, yeah. Or half-brother, not stepbrother. Yeah, they've got the same dad. But yeah, all right, let's jump in. So this episode is wild, and it's all about mostly Pickle versus Jack. But as the episode started, Louis, what was going through your mind? Like, what did you think about what was going on?
So I, in a weird way, was like pulled into it. They sold the character motives of Pickle very well. As ridiculous and absurd as it was, I was like, I care about this. I too want to lock jaws with this opponent. I want to watch a show called Pickle. No offense to Baki, but Pickle, man, that guy.
No, I know what you're talking about. I love when like the author gives us a view of what's going on inside Pickle's mind. My favorite example, when he first wakes up in this modern era, they have this internal narration, and it's like, Pickle was shocked by things he had never seen before. Translucent materials, vertical lines, horizontal lines, spheres. It's like it's such a unique viewpoint. But yeah, so Pickle is sitting there, and he is happy to see a new fighter enter his home, because to him, this arena is just a place where people come to fight him.
He's like, wow, a new person. This is great.
And also just his simple vocabulary. Like, he's just like, it's not like him or like the other guy. This guy's different.
This one wasn't like that one. Or that one. Nothing he'd faced here before had come at him like this.
And honestly, that's what did it for me too, because you get little flashbacks to the other guys, and like, I don't know, maybe I'm a bit Neanderthal-y, but I could really empathize with Pickle.
Yeah. And you know what's fun? So this is the third fight that Pickle had of the season. You know, he fought those other two guys. And those two... Pardon?
You gotta send me those episodes. I want to watch those episodes too.
Okay. Just watch this whole season is the Pickle arc. So if you just watch the second season of Baki Hanma, the first 13 episodes. So basically, the first two fighters, Retsu and Kitsumi, you know, they are both archetypical martial artists. Like, Retsu is Chinese martial arts, 4,000 years, and Kitsumi is very Japanese martial arts and karate and all that jazz. Jack Hanma walks in, says,
I'm here to fight you, caveman.
And then bum rushes him and punches him in the face as hard as he can. I loved it. Like we've talked about Pickle, but like, what did you think about Jack?
It was interesting. Like, so the I actually watched it twice, so I got a lot more appreciation for Jack the second time around. The first time around, Jack is just such a strong character. He's just like totally roided up, full on, like, I just want to beat up the toughest thing going. And I thought it was the perfect antagonist for Pickle. I think Pickle loved it, and that made me like it.
Yeah, no, I agree. Because they're both, when you boil it down, like, Pickle's whole thing is that he survived in the time of the dinosaurs, and he had to be the strongest because that's just life. But Jack is like Jack is like one step removed from RoboCop. Like, he is every possible thing that you can do to your body to make you a killing machine, basically. But and to see these two different people with similar goals fight, it's fun. So Jack, of course, his first punch does nothing because, as we all know, Pickle's neck is like a water buffalo.
You can take the full brunt of a blow like that straight to the head without it having hardly any effect at all on your brain. I bet you've got the bone structure and neck muscles of a water buffalo, don't you?
Now, were you surprised to learn how, like, incredibly jacked early man's neck structure was?
Especially when you get the X-ray and his vertebrae are like dinner plates. It just, I like the way Jack put it. He's like, I've punched a lot of jaws in my time, crushed a lot of jaws, but that one felt different. Yeah, no.
It just seems unfair. Like, why did we evolve away from that? It seems like such a huge loss.
To carry around 450 pounds of neck and jaw.
But realizing that he's not going to win by punching the other guy in the face, Jack proposes an alternative duel. And he does all of this with sign language, basically, because, of course, Pickle can't speak. But he sort of flares his jaw, shows his sharp teeth, and challenges Pickle to a bite off.
Pickle. Let's have a bite off.
Dude, do you want to describe how the bite off goes?
And honestly, this was the ridiculous part that, like, I could just, like, they sold it well. I don't know what geniuses they have on the show. But and like you say, all the communication between these two characters is totally body language, animal communication. Like, the whole narration's going on. I love the narration. And yeah, it's just, Jack's even commenting in his head. He's like, look at those canines. And he's just like oozing over these caveman canine teeth. And he's, going on and on about how he's trained his teeth to bite through coconuts. And then, the combat, the combat of jaw to jaw, we need to bite each other. There's just a way they sold Pickle's perspective of it. And I bought it. Like, it was a very believable, character background. He grew up in the age of the dinosaurs. All they do is bite each other. And so for them to engage in this just felt right. I approved.
Yeah, 100%. Well, okay, so I wanted to do something here because, so at this point we cut to Baki, who's hanging out at his house, and he ends up calling Tokugawa, who is at the arena, and he's like, hey, I want to fight Pickle tomorrow. And Tokugawa's like, well, there's something you should know about. And he struggles to describe it. So I was hoping we could, like, sort of role play this. So I'm going to be Baki calling you. And as Tokugawa, just explain to me what's going on. Like, paint a visual picture for me and the audience.
Hold on, unless I missed something. The conversation didn't happen in the show. It's implied. So this is our imagination of what?
Yes, this is our imagination of. Hey, Tokugawa. So what's going on over there? Why should I come over?
I don't know if you should come over. This is getting weird. They've been making out for the past 10 minutes. I don't know what's gonna happen.
Really, they've been making out. Oh, did they
Oh,
did they
yeah.
look like they're enjoying it or?
Oddly, they do. Yes, they're really enthusiastic about it. Oh wait, no, Jack's making a weird face. Oh God, what's happening? He's biting his face off.
Oh my god. Yeah. It ends with Pickle lifting Jack up by the jaw and then spinning him around into and throws him away. I wrote in my notes that Pickle eats his cheeks, which I realize is a bit of it could be interpreted as a double entendre, but like he literally eats the he eats Jack's disembodied cheeks.
On that note, I have to admit I noticed that the smallest muscle in all of their body is their butt cheeks. I just found that weird.
It's very true. Like it's the view from the when they look from the front, they sort of look like like more like superhero-y traditional buff. But from the back, they look gross.
The Jack had this like hole in his back that took me. I had to do a double take. I think it was just that his back was so jacked that it created a like.
Oh yeah, right in the center, right?
Yeah, I don't know, what was that about?
I guess that's what steroids do.
He's been on them for his whole life.
Oh my god. Yeah, so Jack lost the bite off, and of course the punishment for losing it is he lost all of the flesh pretty much below his eyeballs on his face. Pickle quickly eats it because that's why he's got those teeth.
Whoa. This was not quickly. He is savored and enjoyed that. There was a whole intimate scene of chewing and swallowing.
That is true, sorry. And so it looks like, we've seen Pickle fight other people. It looks like the fight's going to be done now that Jack has been out-kissed. But he is able to turn things around with a sweet haymaker.
Yes, Jack! Oh, look at that! What a haymaker! He sent Pickle flying, and he must weigh over 450 pounds! Jack has knocked him back into the Stone Age!
This is where we get the line that it felt like Pickle's jaw weighed 450 pounds. But this is like the beginning of a comeback for Jack. So at this point, after the 450-pound punch, we get another explanation about how Pickle's neck is very strong, and this type of punch won't work.
I've punched a lot of jaws in my time. I smashed a lot of jaws. But Pickle's jaw felt totally different. Harder, heavier. It was like his jaw alone weighs nearly 450 pounds. I can tell that even though I put all my muscles, my bones, my breath, and every bit of my training and skill into throwing my very best punch at him, I barely even managed to send a quiver through his skull. I didn't get his brain to move a fraction of an inch.
By the way, we already knew this. Like, this was explained like 6 episodes ago, but it's good to reestablish it. Pickle enters what I'm trying to trademark as his pickle pose, where he gets onto all fours on the ground like he's going to run at you. Now they allude to that this has been very successful in the past, but like what did you think was going to happen, and then what happened, Louis?
I was very confused, to be honest. They do have good commentary to explain that yes, this is his deadly serious pose. But I don't know what kind of serious pose that was. He's just lying on the ground. And I was like, okay, caveman animal style, I get it. But no, there's...
The way they describe is that it's like, like a sprinter on like on a sprinting block will be sort of angled down. It's like the ultimate form of that.
Where you're right down on the ground.
Exactly. Well, he's got a neck like a water buffalo. There's no reason he shouldn't walk like one also.
Although it was very feline-like, and he did have the agility of a cat.
Oh my god, do we want to talk about cats? Louis, let's say that I am in a cage and I'm up against one house cat and I have a katana. Who are you betting on?
Well, I don't know. The cat has you in every way except size and weight.
You could say the same thing about a flea, though. They're faster and more agile than me.
Yes, this is true. This is true.
We'll get to this analogy later, but but they do talk about a man versus a cat in a cage. You better have a weapon to even the odds. So Pickle goes for his signature pickle pose finish. It doesn't work though because Jack just sort of, I guess, deflects him. And so Pickle flies 65 feet into the stands.
He grabbed Pickle and just threw him out of the arena.
Meanwhile, even though he'd been thrown 65 feet, Pickle was already starting to get up.
Also, as Jack does that, his muscles are just bulging out of his arms. Like the roids are like pumping through his veins. Editor Steve, I didn't realize how strong the audio was for this, so listen to Jack's bulging muscles for a moment. Yeah, were you impressed with how far Pickle flew?
I was more impressed by the vein pumping. I mean, at this point in time, there's no illusions that Jack's gonna be able to do anything to this Pickle guy. I mean, you saw his neck. It's like a water buffalo. So, you know, I'm waiting to see when Pickle kicks into action and finishes this guy.
But you know what? They do give Jack one last like hurrah before that happens, and like, so I'm gonna put this out here. I've often complained in the past that I thought Jack Hanma's voice actor was not very good. And what I've realized now is that I was just watching him in the wrong context. Like in previous episodes, we've seen him at like fancy diners and restaurants and like ordering like nice wine. And he'll be like, "Yes, I'll have the red wine." And it just sounds absurd. But in this monologue he has about how he's given up women, he's given up meat, he's given up like fame and fortune, he's given up his every joy in life for strength. I thought his voice actor did an incredible performance.
You see what I've done? You see what I've spent my whole life becoming? Good food, good drink, women, money, fame, and glory. I've given up on all those things. There's only one thing that truly satisfies me. I want to be strong. That's why I abandoned everything else.
It's the only thing that matters after all.
Yeah. So there were 2 points in his monologue I wanted to get your thoughts on. The first is the bone lengthening. What do you think about that?
So, in a weird way, I found Jack to be really relevant to our modern times. You know, bone lengthening's a real thing that people do. And the roids and everything. And even in part of his monologue, he mentions that, like, I can't remember how he puts it, but just that like he is, you know, the representation of the modern age.
Yeah.
Now here I am representing the modern age. So tell me, boss, I'm doing pretty good, don't you think?
And I don't know if it was supposed to go this deep, but a little bit of me was like, yeah, like, you know, look at our youth pumping themselves full of steroids on Instagram and lengthening their bones to get taller. And here's Jack, the epitome of this. And so I thought, you know what, Jack, you're a culture symbol. You know, I appreciate you.
Yeah. No, I agree. I do think Baki tries to be that deep. I think when it's like Baki can be surprisingly deep if we're talking about how it relates into two guys fighting each other. You have to have that little connection, or eating food.
It can be very intimate when you're embraced in combat.
Oh, yeah, don't worry. We've talked a lot about that concept. But the other part I wanted to just point out, because they just slipped it in very quickly, is as he's talking about how hard he trains, he said he's trained to the point of incontinence.
I was always training, even to the point of incontinence.
And then they zoom in on his foot, and is it sweat or is it something else?
Pretty sure that's urine. I'm gonna count that for the times we've seen urination on screen counter. So we're probably up to 8 at this point. But yeah, I was just gonna say, I don't think that helps you that much. I can't imagine like he got stronger by choosing not to go to the bathroom.
No. That helps a tremendous amount. Would you want to be in a fight with a guy who is pissing himself? It's an intimidation factor, Steve. You gotta get on the mind games too.
If I saw Jack Hanma from 1,000 feet away, I'd be intimidated beyond belief. He doesn't need that. Like, this guy doesn't need to piss on me. Anyway.
But it doesn't hurt.
So Jack has an amazing swing of offense. He goes up to where Pickle landed in the stands, slams his head a few times into those stands, throws Pickle, I'm going to guess 80 feet, then inexplicably jumps down, so he also must have fallen like 40 feet, but whatever. And then he picks Pickle up and literally bites his ear off. So Pickle has now lost his right ear, because no surgeon's ever going to have any work done on Pickle. Like, that ear is gone.
See, Mike Tyson right there.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, Mike Tyson. I don't think Mike Tyson would appreciate if we cast him in this role.
All right, Mike, we're going to need you to bite this guy's ear off. I would never.
Oh, man. Off topic. Did you ever watch Mike Tyson Mysteries?
No. What is that?
It used to be on Netflix. Oh, it's like Scooby-Doo, but they got Mike Tyson playing himself. And he's like...
I never saw the episode, or an episode, but I did see the commercials and the like shorts of it.
Yeah, I give it a thumbs up. It was a great 15-minute show to watch.
They look like mite bites.
What are mite bites?
You should ask Vander Holyfield that. He's very familiar with mite bites.
So this puts us into the final sort of phase of the fight, where Pickle starts trying hard. Because he lost his ear. You'd think he would start trying hard before he loses his ear, but whatever. Jack goes to punch Pickle, and he misses. Why did he miss, Louis?
Well, you see, Steve, strength is not enough to defeat the dinosaurs. You also need insane speed. And it's funny because they open the scene up, and then Jack is fully aware that he's missed, but he has no idea how he missed. And I have to admit, I'm sitting there too. At this point, I'm at the edge of my seat. I'm like, I'm very invested in this show. And I could not figure out for the life of me how it worked either. When you find out how it worked, it was that Pickle just took the hit. Or no, he didn't take the hit. He just jumped out of the way with such force that he flies across the whole stadium, rebounds off the sidewall like a springboard, and gets back in front of Jack in like the blink of an eye. It was very impressive.
It's incredible. And he does this twice without Jack even realizing it's happened.
He's like, I don't know how he did it. Wait a minute.
Oh my goodness. It's so good. And it's just like, we've been talking all season about how insurmountably strong Pickle is. And then it's like, oh yeah, and he's also faster than the human eye. So
I think if we calculated that speed, that would be faster than the speed of sound.
Oh my god, what a great reference. I would actually love to bring that up, because we've been talking a lot about the speed of sound this season.
Really?
Well, if you want to watch another episode, go back about 2 episodes and you'll get to learn a lot about the speed of sound and his previous fight. But anyway, so Pickle, he's back on the offensive. Jack knows he's fucked. And he has a great line. Well, this is actually where we learn about cats and katanas. But then Jack has a great line where he says something like,
Not forgetting that Pickle lived in the age of the dinosaurs. The only way he could have survived was being faster, smarter, and better than they were. So that's what it comes down to. To win this fight, I've got to beat the guy who beat the most powerful creatures that ever walked the earth! God, I've never asked you for anything before, but I'm asking you now. Let me win! Please help me!
God, I've never asked you for anything before. Please help me. I loved that. Because, like, it shows that, you know, I think it shows the desperation. Because, like, Jack is clearly a man who needs a lot of stuff. Like, he has done bone lengthening surgery. He's done steroids. He's done all of these things to his body. But apparently he's never asked God for anything before. Like, he doesn't pray. Like, he does it himself. And then in this one context, he's like, oh, shit.
I find that to be actually a very relevant spiritual experience, and I admire it. You know, this guy, he's been carrying the world on his shoulders his whole life, proving that he can do it all. And there comes a day, Steve, in everyone's life where you meet your maker, you meet your match, and you can't do it anymore. And there's only one way left to go, and that's to God.
I certainly hope when I meet my maker it isn't a 7-foot-tall caveman in a loincloth, but...
Oh, jeez, no.
So...
Also...
Oh, yeah.
Just back to the ear biting thing.
Yeah.
He gets his ear bit off, and I don't know if you have some insight into this, but then they start talking about how Pickle's hearing the silence of
that was good, yeah.
the room compared to the silence of the ear that was bitten off, and not the same. That was lost on me. I was like, I don't understand this. What silence is he hearing? What is this guy going on about? I understand he's pissed about the ear.
Right. I think what they're implying is that on the left side, let's say, the side that he has an ear, or the right side, he is hearing this. There's a silence of the room, you know, like shuffling, like air moving around, like, you know, like a silence with, but it's not like complete silence. Like you know when you walk into one of those soundproof rooms and it's like perfect silence. Mm-hmm. But I think the other side, I think what they're implying is that he like ate the eardrum. Like there is now nothing that can pick up noise, and so it is just absolute 0 decibels coming from his other ear.
I think I get it that far, but anyway, I think it was a stretch to put it in. They could have just been like, and he was pissed that his ear got bitten off, and so he kicked the shit out of Jack.
Well, yeah. To be fair, I feel like the narrator's just sort of guessing at what's going on inside his head. So yeah. So after Jack prays to God, God, of course, knowing that Jack is his least favorite subject, allows Pickle to punch him in the face, and it's probably my favorite, honestly, like, attack in the whole show. Like, Pickle punches him, and then Jack is like flying back, and he just keeps wailing full on punches as they both fly through the arena before Jack is thrown into the wall, defeated. So now that Jack is defeated, usually, I don't know if you picked this up, but Pickle eats his opponents, because, you know, that's what...
How could you not pick it up? They had narrated on it for a good 10 minutes.
Did you see the peg leg of the guy he fought before?
So I was wondering, I'm like, I don't know if this is like from Pickle or just like this is a thing in Buckyland where, you know...
I'll clarify. It's just a Pickle thing. I guess it is confusing when Jack like bites someone's ear off, but it's usually just a Pickle thing to eat your opponent. And the funny thing with Pickle is like he's supposed to be just like literally eating them, like he would kill them, but they keep coming up with reasons why he doesn't. And I found Jack's one to be my favorite so far. So Pickle walks up to Jack, and he has all intentions of eating him. Nobody's doing anything, which I love, because like his half brother's in the audience just watching. And before he can eat him, he starts hearing buzzing noises and bees. Can you explain this flashback that he has?
So, once upon a time in Dinosaur Land, Pickle comes across a normal bee. Wouldn't it be a normal bee? I don't know what kind of bee this was, but he kills it, and in his normal way, he gorges himself on the body parts of his fresh kill.
As he usually did with his attackers, he dismembered the creature's crushed body and ate it.
Happens to be a bee, and I don't know if it's the honey. So then what? At first you're treated with a sweet honey sac. I didn't know bees had honey sacs, but apparently they do.
This is what bees were like 190 million years ago.
Oh yes, the honey sac of the bee just carries it around in a bag. Finds that the honey turns into a horrible stinging pain in his mouth, although his mouth is small. Then they go into this like this visual depiction of the pain. His mouth is small.
God, yeah.
Pain is so great that they just, I don't even know how they draw it, but it's just like his mouth is massive.
It's like the end of Akira.
Yeah, there's like the pain of a volcano erupting in his mouth until he just collapses on the ground and deals with it. He looks very peaceful and youthful in this flashback. That was the other thing. The whole show, they have these like, I don't know if this is fair to say, but beautiful complexion, beautiful face.
Pickle is the worst offender of this, where half the time he looks like he's on the cover model of Vogue, and the other half of the time he looks like this muscled abomination. But yeah, they do love to make them very very picturesque.
I think it's symbolic. It's like a cherub, where he's an adult, but he's also youthful and innocent and pure-hearted.
Yeah, he hasn't grown intellectually too much since he ate those bees as a child. So the lesson that Pickle took away from this is that some enemies, even after you kill them, they don't die and they can still fight back. And that's what he assumes Jack is. Jack is just laying there. His back is against the arena wall. And so he decides, I don't want any of this shit. And so Tokugawa and Baki come down and they're like, oh, Jack, you okay? And Tokugawa puts his hand on Jack's chest. I don't know what he was hoping to do there. Maybe check a heartbeat or something. And we find out that Pickle was right. And that Jack, although unconscious, had a muscle memory move where if anybody touches him while unconscious, he will take both of his arms and stick his middle fingers through your eardrums to instantly kill you.
What?
No! Don't touch him!
But he's unconscious.
So that's it. If Pickle had come close enough to touch him, Jack's middle fingers would have pierced both of Pickle's eardrums. Probably would have severed his medulla oblongata.
Hey, Editor Steve, I forgot to say Retsu's been here this whole episode.
An amazing attack that would have changed everything.
It was a cell memory that Jack had engraved into his innermost being, so that even when he'd lost consciousness, he could still administer the world's most powerful fuck you.
And luckily, Tokugawa is canonically, I think, 3'2", so Jack missed.
And it was to give the final biggest fuck you of them all.
Yeah. Oh my god, I'm gonna play that quote when I'm editing. I also love how Baki clarifies that like if the fingers would have gone through like some specific part of the brain. Yeah, because otherwise Pickle would have just been raring to go. Like, luckily you hit the brain stem.
I like it though. I think it gives a final ode to Jack and just the power that he did. Like, nobody's a match for Pickle, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, they remarked, had Pickle gone up to him, the whole thing would have been different. And
yeah. It's like it was like an actually winnable fight for Jack, I would say.
I don't know if I would say that.
If he tricked him into walking up so he could slice his brainstem open. I think
my strategy is to be knocked unconscious and then put in my super nerve training to kill him while unconscious.
Yeah. Well, that's the end of the episode. It's not the end of Jack. He's going to have a little bit more to do next episode, which is another fun part. And then we'll get into the final confrontation of the season. So Louis, you've been on 2 episodes now. Your first one was back in the Death Row Inmates arc, and now Pickle's here. Do you think the show's getting better?
I'm not even exaggerating when I say like this episode is really, really good. I loved it. I would watch again. I might have to watch this whole season.
Yeah. No, it's I think this is debatably my favorite season. It's just fun. It's like it's a fun arc. It's different, but anyway. Well, that's good to know. Anything that you wanted to bring up before we get into our final segment?
Do we know why Pickle's name is Pickle?
Yes. Yeah, great question. So I wasn't sure about this, and they don't explicitly say this, but I'm pretty sure about this. So Pickle was found in a salt deposit that was basically he was frozen in a salt deposit for 190 million years. And so he's called Pickle because he was kept in such a salty spot for so long.
That's a ridiculous reason.
I know. It's very goofy. When they introduce him, it's so much fun. They're like, "Oh, I didn't think people were around 190 million years ago." Well, they were.
Just like a one-off, or is it like there used to be loads of people? And he's just like one that survived.
I've been trying to figure that out. Like, he's the only one to survive. So, but we've never seen shots of him interacting with other people in any of his flashbacks. We did see one flashback which showed multiple people praying to a volcano, but he wasn't there, so I don't even know when that was. I think that he was special even for his time, but it's an unanswered question.
I'd hope so.
Yeah, no, it would be quite terrifying. All right, the fan question for this week: what do you think is the hardest hit this episode?
I'm gonna say it's a series, but there's this part where I can't remember. Can't remember exactly where, but Pickle gets pissed off at some point and starts to like actively strike back, and he catches Jack in the head, and Jack does this like full somersault, and as he's falling to the ground, before he hits the ground, Pickle follows up in this combination of just like vicious head strikes, like 3 or 4 of them, and just like knocking Jack around like a piñata. Yeah. And I think that takes the cake.
Same for me, because that's what I was trying to describe earlier. That's the one where Jack goes, "God help me," and then that happens to him. It's the best. It's the best. But an honorable mention to Pickle lifting him up by the mouth and throwing him around. That was all. That would have won any other episode, or at least most.
I found that playful. Like, I just think Pickle was like, happy to be back with jaws locked with another opponent. But the punches to the head, like, I felt Pickle was trying to hurt him. He was not fucking around anymore.
Yeah. Hey, Editor Steve here with the Baki Taki bonus question. I was also asked, I didn't ask Louis because I doubt he watches Spy Family, but how would the main female character, well, maybe Anya is, but anyway, the mom of the Spy Family, how she would do in Baki? I'll keep it quick for people who don't watch the show. I think it depends on where it takes place. I think if it takes place in the world of Spy Family, Yor is incredibly competent and talented and would probably kick ass against any of the members of Baki. If it took place in Baki, she wouldn't be there because she's a woman who fights. Well, the next time we see Jack, he's going to have to grow his bones even larger if he's going to have any chance against Pickle. All right, well, that's all the Baki we've got to Taki. So I'll see you all next week. And then usually my guest says goodbye.
Ah, yes. It was a real pleasure, Steve. I hope to be back again sometime.
All right, usually they're a bit more brief than that.